Hey guys, Rader here. Time for another Rader review. This time we're going to do it on Ghost of Tsushima. So we've been playing Ghost of Tsushima for a couple weeks now, and we finally finished it. I really enjoyed my time. I was actually kind of surprised. It's not exactly my type of game, my genre. I do like samurais and stuff, but the whole honor code thing and all that stuff kind of gets a little boring, at least from a movie aspect and stuff. But for a game, it actually worked really well. I was pretty impressed. The different stances, the different, fighting techniques and stuff like that actually sang pretty loudly in this game. And any game I can carry a sword the whole time and not have to switch weapons, I'm pretty happy about. So we ended up having a lot of fun. One of the big reasons I wanted to try the game is the studio behind it. It's the studio Sucker Punch. And Sucker Punch makes some of my favorite games of all time. So I really got into the Infamous series, and I've played all the Infamous games except Infamous Second Son First Light. I played all the rest twice, one good path, one bad path, and I very rarely play games more than once. So that speaks highly of the fact that I was able to play each one of those twice. But it does drastically change the game, good and bad. So yeah, so I liked this. This was actually really cool. It had a lot of that same feel. You had a lot of collectibles, a lot of things to do. There was a lot of lore, a lot of story, and it paced pretty well. So I was happy with the twists and turns that came out of it. The game overall was pretty good. I don't have a lot of complaints. There was a lot of good mechanics between, jumping and climbing, and you had good diversity in the amount of weapons. So you only had the one sword, but you had all kinds of like smoke bombs and sticky bombs and kunai and all these other things that really diversified your tactics. And then the standoff mechanics and stuff like that were really nice. So I figured I was going to go into this game more like Assassin's Creed and do a lot of stealth and hiding, and stay ghost as much as possible. That did not end up happening at all. I did it for a little bit, and then I realized that brute force was much more fun. If you guys remember the original Assassin's Creeds, the 1 and 2, they had a counterattack mechanism in the game where attacking an enemy sucked. If you weren't assassinating them, you died. But they had a counterattack that was actually really cool. So what it would do is if an enemy was attacking you, you had a counterattack that was an insta-kill. So what you could do in Assassin's Creed is you could sit in an area with like 15 guards all coming at you and literally just be on guard. And every time someone hit you, you killed them with a counterattack, and it was great. So this had a lot of that same mechanic. So you had counterattack and parries and dodges and stuff that really worked well. So the more you invested in those skills, the better you got. The other thing I love about games is I love games that at the end of it, I don't feel like I need to spend an exorbitant amount of time to get to be the final level, to get all the final stuff. We 100%ed the game as far as trophies. And really the only two things we missed a bunch of the banners. All they were needed was for a saddle for your horse. And I really didn't care for those too much. And we missed some vanity gear, but there's like almost 60 pieces of vanity gear. And all it does is, give you a cosmetic change. So I didn't really feel the need to go through that, but we didn't actually beat the boss until we 100%ed everything else, and it was actually fairly easy to do. It felt natural through the game progression to do that. As you went through, you naturally ran across areas, you ran across collectibles, you had quick and easy ways to get them. I mean, we were top tier with all the technique points pretty early when we got to the third act out of 3. So we spent most of the third act already top tiered, and a lot of our weapons and a lot of our gear were already maxed out, so we just really maxed out gear for the fun of it at the end, and I kind of like that. Like I said, there was a lot of mechanics that if you use the mechanics properly, this game required no grinding. There was no you have to do these things constantly. You kind of choose and pick and choose, and like I said, you ended up max level way before the end, and you could skip a lot of the ending if you wanted and still be max level, and I find that great. I love when games do that. I hate games that the max level is like 99 and you finish the game at 30 and you're like, okay, I have no reason to try to get to 99. There's nothing extra, there's nothing different, there's nothing that really brings you back for that. So I much prefer games that give you a natural progression, and this one does a really good job of that. So I was very impressed with that. Yeah, so I would probably say the only things I don't like is there was a couple skills that were supposed to make dealing with spearmen easier, and I found that I wouldn't say 9 times out of 10, maybe 60% of the time, if you tried to parry or use the auto parry, it would fail and the spearman would just stab you. So that was a little wonky. And much like the original Assassin's Creed, some of the climbing was wonky. Between you trying to like climb and grab the ledge instead of just leaping off the ledge, you ended up leaping off the ledge. So I think all games have some issues with that, just because there's a lot of fine mechanics in certain areas with that. So it was not game breaking at all. We didn't run into any glitches, any major crashes, nothing like that. The story was definitely there. It definitely kept you intrigued, and you wanted to find out all the different tales. The tales were great. Each one was different. You know, you had a host of not really companions, but a host of people involved in the story, and you could follow their story deeper, and you wanted to find out more about their story and what was going on with them. So that was really cool. Yeah, so we had a lot of fun. Like I said, I can't complain too much. The game was a lot of fun. If you like an RPG, if you like an Assassin's Creed type game or a Sucker Punch type game without the ability, sadly, but some cool gadgets, kind of like a Spider-Man game. There's a lot of those, a lot of gadgets, a lot of cool techniques, a lot of different ways and different styles of gameplay. You could play this game 100 different ways. Like I said, you could ghost it, you could stand off and do straightforward like we did. You can do a whole bunch of different things, and it rewards you for doing that. And I don't think any way you played, you would end up not being pretty close to max with a lot of stuff completed by the time you were done, unless you blatantly just ignored things. Every time we were out and about, there's so many different mechanics between the wind and birds and the firefly. There was a bunch of different kinds of mechanics that led you to your collectibles. So as you're going through your tail, you're just picking up collectibles as you're walking along, and I love that. So made it a lot of fun, made it a lot easy to do. So we had a lot of fun with it. So I would highly recommend Ghost of Tsushima if you have not picked it up. Or, you know, wait to play it on a PlayStation 5 if you want. But it was a lot of fun. So that's going to be it for this Rader review. Appreciate you guys being here. And if you're ever free, stop by the Twitch channel. We stream on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, and Sundays. Thanks, guys. Bye.